I've been getting a lot of requests to review earphones from this brand in particular, and if you've asked for this set of earphones to be reviewed in particular, you and I have Earfun to thank for making this possible. Thank you to Earfun for making this review possible by sending me a demo unit. All thoughts and opinions are my own. So let's jump straight into this review with how these are built. Earfun has chosen to have a simple yet elegant unboxing experience with no nonsense. You get a little pouch that holds the literature and a little guide showing you how you should maintain your earphone's contact points, and they've gone as far as to provide you with a cotton swab stick to clean it with. This is something I've never seen before and can really appreciate. Then you get a little box on the inside which holds not 2 but 3 extra ear tips. You get extra small, mediums on the earphones and large tips as well, and you also get a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, and of course you get the Earfun case with the earphones in them. The case is a neat matte finish which I quite like, and it has a compact footprint, so should be easy to carry around in your pockets or bags. The top of the lid has the Earfun branding on it. The rear of the case has the USB-C connector for when you want to charge it up, and the front has 3 LED lights that light up to show you the battery percentage of the case. What I quite like about this case is how little effort you have to put into opening it, because you almost have to only think about opening it, and it swings open with the gentlest of pushes. Upon opening the case, you're greeted with the Air Pro 3 earphones, and the inner part of the case has a reset button between the earphones. The inner part of the case is plastic, but the inner part of the lid is a soft touch rubber, so it won't scratch up your earphones, and the lip that sits on the case when it shuts is also soft rubber. These materials contribute to this lid having a very soft and subtle clasping sound when shut, instead of it slamming like most other earphones can do. The earphones appear to be on the larger side, but they've been designed quite well. You won't feel any weight or fatigue wearing them over longer listening sessions. I usually tend to have a little bit of pain in my left ear with larger earphones, but I haven't had any discomfort with these earphones when testing them. The body of the earphones is a glossy black, while the stem has a beautifully finished matte bluish grey look to it, along with the company's branding. The upper part of the stem has a slight depression within a circular design which operates as the touch area for interactions, and there's a small LED above it to let you know if it's in sync mode or if it's paired. These LEDs go off once they're connected to a device. The silicone ear tips provided are a grippy and soft feeling tip which haven't caused me any discomfort while wearing, and they're quite easy to remove and place back onto the earphones as well if you want to swap them. These earphones come with an IPX5 sweat and water resistant rating, so should be fine for any outdoor or indoor workout sessions, and it's a good practice to clean the contact points before placing them back into the case if you intend on using these for a long time. On a feature front, it's absolutely loaded. It's got everything from Bluetooth version 5.3, active noise cancelling, multi-device pairing. It also has wireless charging, it has touch controls, and it also has its own app that you can control it with. Within the app, you can see your cases and earphones battery life. You can toggle between the noise cancelling, ambient sound, and off modes. You can engage the game mode, access, and EQ mode, which I'll speak about in the chapter about sound, and you can customize your touch controls. By default, the left earbud lets you tap once to reduce the volume by 1 increment. A double tap will play and pause your media. A triple tap will take you to the beginning or previous track depending on where you are on your current track, and a long press will let you toggle between the ANC modes. The right earbud by default is set to volume up with a single tap. A double tap will play and pause your media. A triple tap will take you to the next track, and a long press will activate your native voice assistant. All these inputs can be customized via the app after you click on the action and select another one via the drop-down menu in each action. You can also check for firmware versions to see if your device needs an update. The multi-device pairing works fairly seamlessly, but it only lets you connect to 2 devices at a time. If you are connected to a secondary device like a computer or an iPad, and it is also connected to your phone, as soon as you get a phone call, it latches onto that immediately. But if you are listening to music on your primary device and you press play on the media on the secondary device, it doesn't start playing the media. You'll have to pause the media on the primary device and then play it on the secondary, and vice versa. So it doesn't have an auto handover when you press pause on the secondary device. When it comes to its gaming mode, it is something that is needed if you plan on gaming or consuming any video content, because there is a significant delay when the gaming mode is off. Now, when the gaming mode is on, it has a very respectable 55 millisecond response time, which is pretty quick. Now, if you do not want any lag whatsoever, I'm sure you know that using a wired set of earphones or headphones is the way to go instead of using wireless. So with the gaming mode on, it is significantly improved where there isn't much of a sync issue between videos and when you're gaming. But instead of me rambling on about how it functions, let me show you a demo as to how it would function with the game mode off and on with games as well as videos. So how is this comparison going to be fair at all? Because one set is wired and the other is completely wireless. Well, the JBL supports SBC and AAC codecs, whereas the Warner is of course wired. And if you've used IEMs before, you know that you could enjoy a world of high-res music with a wired set of IEMs. So what I had to do is I've plugged these into the Astel & Kern XB10. Now, this does support SBC, AAC, aptX and aptX HD codecs. So yet again, this might just have an advantage over the JBL 230NC. But what I'm doing is I'm broadcasting to both devices, the JBL and the Astel & Kern at the same time. So my phone shifts over to broadcasting only SPC codecs. So this should be as fair as possible when it comes to how they sound. When it comes to the active noise cancelling on the Air Pro 3s, these function fairly well. In fact, Earfun claims that these can knock down noises up to 43 decibels. Now, I don't doubt that at all because they're using a hybrid noise cancelling system. A hybrid noise cancelling system should do better in theory than the conventional systems with only 2 microphones, because this in particular has 3 microphones and one microphone sits near the ear canal. So any sounds that or noises that are bleeding into your ear canal, it's analyzing those noises and eliminating that as well. So whenever I've used it with a fan motor running or an AC motor, or even cars running near my studio where I am, it is able to eliminate the sounds very well. In fact, I think it does even better than some earphones that I've reviewed in the recent past, and those do claim more of a decibel cut. But I think because of the hybrid system, this does do a slightly better job. So Earfun has incorporated 3 microphones per earbud, giving you a total of 6 microphones so as to govern your active noise cancelling as best as it can. Now, these same microphones are also used for the environmental noise cancelling for when you want to take any phone calls. So if you plan on using these earphones in a busy environment and want to know how your voice would carry over to your recipient, there really is only one way to find out. So I'm calling you from the usual busy street. I do all of my call tests from just to give you a sense of the amount of noise that these earphones are going to be battling. And of course you can see there are a lot of two-wheelers, four-wheelers. You will get the occasional pressure horn because of some trucks passing by. There's a tractor right there, and of course there is some construction work going on over my left shoulder as well. So these do have a lot to battle, and something tells me that this is going to do fairly well because it does have 3 microphones per earphone to govern the noise and to isolate your voice and carry it over. And of course it is using Qualcomm CVC technology along with some MEMS microphones, so I do have some high hopes for this. So I have been on the camera microphone all this time, and I'll shift over to the Earfun microphone right about now. So you are sitting in the reviewer seat right now. You're sitting in the best seat to see whether or not you like the way my voice is being carried over to you as a recipient, because this is pretty much the tonal quality it will carry over to your recipients when you're talking to them. Now, no doubt, this is the worst kind of situation you can be in if you're on a walk in a busy street or you're out on a run. It will definitely perform significantly better in a controlled environment like your home or your office. Now, one thing I do like to do to see if there is any added load on your voice in particular is cycle through the ANC mode. So I'll do that right about now. I'll go into the app. Now, I have been on the active noise cancelling mode, and this has been my voice carried over in this form. So I'll shift over to the ambient sound right about now. She has just said ambient sound, and I can hear all of this feeding in now. So now you'd be the best just to see if it's shifted over in algorithm, because there's sometimes a difference
in the overall tone quality when you shift over to the from noise profiles. I'll shift over to normal now. I'm in normal now. So right now everything is passively isolated. I can't hear that ambulance as much now, and I can't hear the two-wheelers and four-wheelers right now as much as when it was and on ambient mode. So I'll shift over to noise cancelling mode now. It's just shifted over. So this to me is the most comfortable mode to be in because it does, in fact, a very good job with the active noise cancelling of cutting a lot of this noise out. In fact, it does very well for my studio, but I didn't think the active noise cancelling would do this well when I'm this close to traffic because I'm maybe about 12 feet away from the main road right now. So I do hope that this demo has given you a better understanding of how these earphones are. And of course, I will see you back at the studio.
These come with 11 wool composite dynamic drivers, have a frequency response of 20 Hz all the way up to 20,000 Hz, and support codecs from SPC, AAC, aptX as well as the LC3 codec. So if you do listen to higher res music, it will switch over to the aptX codec, which is bound to give you much clearer and sharper detail in your overall audio. Of course, if your phone does support the new LC3 codec, it is using a low energy Bluetooth technology. So if you plan on using that, you should get similar sound as SPC and AAC, and it will also help you prolong your battery life in the long run. On a volume front, I've spent most of my time listening to these anywhere between 30 to 40% volume, and it's never really felt like I need to crank the volume any higher because it sounds fairly rounded even at 30%. And you can go even lower down to 20 and 25% where it does maintain its roundedness, which I wasn't expecting it to do. So even down low at that volume, it's perfect for winding down at the end of the day. Now, you can crank it up to about 40 or 50%, but it gets a little too loud for me. I wouldn't recommend listening to this beyond 60% volume if you intend on preserving your hearing. Soundstage on these is like most other TWS earphones. It exists within a bubble in your head with some tones giving you the illusion of coming from slightly further out of them. It has good left and right separation with a dead center phantom channel. Imaging on these is surprisingly clean. In fact, I didn't go into this expecting these to be as clean sounding as they are, but they are fairly crisp in their overall detail. In fact, what I did notice is there is a slight shift over depending on what kind of file you're listening to as well as what codec you're broadcasting in. If you're listening to an SPC or AAC, it doesn't have as finer edges as it does when you're listening to the aptX adaptive codec. So your source file also does make a difference. So if you're streaming off of Apple Music high res and you have the aptX codec on, it's bound to be much cleaner. Now, even the instrument separation and vocals is pretty good when it comes to its imaging. It's able to deliver these to you in separate layers. So I definitely wasn't expecting this to come from Earfun, but it does do a pretty good job when it comes to picking out certain nuances, which makes your listening to music that much more enjoyable. High frequencies is where I've seen a lot of manufacturers screw up because they crank the high frequencies to a point where it's just too aggressive. They think it's making the earphone sound a little crisp or a little sharper, but that's not really the case. But when it comes to Earfun in particular, it's very evident that the people at Earfun are very clearly music enthusiasts because they've tuned this range just right. There is a slight elevation in this range to brighten up or add sparkle to your highs, but it doesn't come anywhere close to crossing a line where it hurts or pierces your ear. It's delivered in a soft and mature manner, so you can listen to this for hours on end without dealing with any ear fatigue. Despite a slight elevation here, it isn't sibilant with vocals, P's and S's. I keep feeling that some recordings will present this in the music, but at no point have I heard sibilance, which is quite commendable. Listening to foreigners, I want to know what love is. There's a lot of highs here with the cymbal crashes and with the backing of the New Jersey Mass Choir, which made me expect some flaw to appear with these earphones, but at no point did it struggle with delivering detail. This range is very comfortable in its own skin. It's confident and stays clear from trying to be over the top and flamboyant like some earphones can tend to be. Mid frequencies are pulled slightly further back compared to the highs, so it can tend to appear to be coming at you from a slight distance. Despite being recessed, there's a good amount of detail in this range. It remains clean in its delivery and is also rounded without much of a dip in the lower mid-range. Thanks to this tuning, female and male vocals don't sound nasal. It's a nice refresh compared to what other manufacturers are doing with the tuning in this range. There is good separation between male and female vocals as well as instruments in this range, also thanks to how well these image. Listening to Bailey Rushlow perform her cover of Next to Me, I was happy to find her voice doesn't get tinny or nasal, and the most important element of her voice isn't lost. She's got a huskiness in her voice that adds a certain texture to her tone, which some earphones can't carry over to you. These are more than able to give you all these little nuances with your music, making this range enjoyable to zone into even when you want to enjoy the lyrics of a tune. You'd expect the lower frequencies to be thin considering how untouched the mid frequencies are, but you'd be wrong to think that. Earfun has managed to keep the bass heavy, full-bodied and with terrific extension. This range surprisingly doesn't intrude on the mids as much as I thought it would. Despite being as big sounding as it is, it doesn't interfere much with the mid details. This range extends into the sub-bass region without a fuss. It's quite energetic and confident in the upper and mid-bass regions and gives you a little sub-bass excitement whenever a track plays back this range. It's able to produce rumbles almost as if there's a subwoofer somewhere in the room, making it quite fun for movie watching too. Listening to Justin Timberlake and Chris Stapleton perform Say Something, there's a prominent sub-low register that kicks in which remains as a separate entity instead of swallowing up the mids. It's big, prominent and enthusiastic without being obnoxious. Part of me wishes it was a little tighter in its delivery, but then again, I'm being a little picky. This range is more than good enough for getting your blood pumping for motivation for a workout. If you do want to tweak your sound a little bit, Earfun has included an EQ within the app. It has a 6-band EQ which gives you control with a plus minus 10 dB level, and if you do want to use the presets that are included, you get 4 of them, which are bass boost, which does as it says and still somehow doesn't interfere much with the mids. There's a significant boost in the sub-bass region which I can see people enjoying with EDM or movie watching. Then you get treble boost, which makes your music listening a little bit crisper in the highs. Yet again, it somehow doesn't offend. It stays clear from being too bright and is actually quite enjoyable without piercing the ear. Then you get bass reducer, and if I'm being honest, I quite like this tuning because I find the bass to be better balanced here for my taste in music. The bass isn't lost here, it's still prominent enough to enjoy listening to acoustic music. EDM listeners will most likely not use this preset. And lastly, you get treble reducer, which makes these sound a little too flat without excitement in the high frequency range. I don't really see many people liking this tuning. So to sum up, on a build front, I quite like the fact that Earfun has used a matte finish. I've never really liked the whole glossy finish, and if you're a regular viewer of my channel, you know how much it bugs me. But I like the fact that they've taken this approach and the finer details that they've looked into, like the rubber sleeve on the upper part of the lid that closes onto the earphones and doesn't scratch them. The little rubber strip that lands on the inside of the case when it clasps shut. Now, these are very small things that they really needn't have done, but the fact that they've incorporated these to ensure that every feeling, in fact, even when you close it, the clasping or the closing sound of it is an experience of your earphones itself. And the fact that they've focused on these finer details is quite commendable. You don't see many people doing this anymore. The finish on the earphones is also something I quite like because I've not really seen a dual tone design like this where you have a glossy finish on the inner part of the housing and the outer part has this matte bluish gray finish with the brand logo on it. It's a reflective logo on the ear, the stem itself. So the finer detail on this is really well done. In fact, it seems like a way more premium set of earphones. In fact, I think it is originally priced at a much higher rate when it comes to its maximum retail price, but it looks like it's genuinely worth that. It feels like it's genuinely worth that price because they've put in so much effort into the overall feel and build of these earphones. Moving on to the features, it's absolutely loaded. In fact, one thing I forgot to mention or almost forgot to mention while I was scripting was the fact that it has wireless charging. So a lot of earphones did have this back in the past, but then suddenly it's been forgotten. But the fact that Earfun has also incorporated this is a nice touch because there are times when you might be running out of power and I think some phones come with wireless charging from their phone itself, so it's a good way to top up if you don't have a power bank or a cable. So the fact that they've included this, I think, is a very good point. And the multi-point, the multi-device pairing, I think, is also a big plus point, because I think it's getting standardized in the market right now. Almost every set of earphones is started introducing this. I think having Bluetooth version 5.3 makes this that much more possible. And I know it might seem like I really like these, but it's very difficult not to like these earphones. So if I'm being really picky, I think the few things that I don't like with these earphones is maybe the fact that the multi-device pairing doesn't do an auto handover when I play and pause on a secondary device, because I have experienced this on other earphones where if you play on the secondary device, it automatically pauses the first and switches over to the second. So maybe that's one gripe I have with it. And the next one I have is that it doesn't have in-ear detection, so it doesn't pause and play when you take it out of your ear. Now this is something that I found that I don't really miss personally, because usually if ever I'm doing a comparison between some earphones, having in-ear detection is a bit of a bother because it keeps pausing, whereas I'd like for them to keep playing. So it doesn't really bother me much, but I can see some people wishing that it did have in-ear detection. On a sound front, it's soft in the highs, it's a bit recessed in the mids, and it's quite full-bodied in the bass. And honestly, it's not offensive in any way. It's a very enjoyable set of earphones. The one thing that really stood out to me when it came to its sound is generally how it images. The amount of detail that it carries is quite significant. The fact that you can hear various layers in the detail in instruments, in vocals, is quite impressive. It's not something that I'd expect from a set of earphones in this price range. But the fact that they've included things like aptX adaptive also shows that Earfun has got a focus when it comes to its sound. And considering Earfun is a fairly new company, I think they've only founded in 2018. I didn't think that they'd be so focused on sound, because a lot of people are more obsessed with features and build quality, whereas it's very clear that there are music enthusiasts within this company who are bothered about how these set of earphones carry themselves. Now, I haven't tested any other earphones from Earfun, but these have set a very high standard for me. So if I were to get any more products from them, I'll have a very high standard, and I will expect a lot from them. And another thing I really like about these earphones is that they have chosen to break away from the conventional 12-month warranty which every other company is doing. Earfun offers a full 18-month warranty, and I honestly, I've had viewers ask me to review Earfun maybe for over a year or maybe a year and a half, and at no point have I heard negative things about it. I have heard negative things about other companies, about warranty issues and warranty claims, but Earfun in particular has the 18-month warranty, and I believe that if you do have any failure by any chance with a Earfun product, it is addressed within 24 hours. I don't think that they have service centers in particular within India, but I think if you write to them, they will come back to you within 24 hours with a definite solution. So that is very commendable, because if a company is looking after sales and they hold it as an absolute priority with a customer, that says a lot for the company, because the minute you have customer loyalty like that, a customer is always going to come back to that company. So you have loyalty working in two different directions. So considering everything you get with this and Earfun's approach to the build, features, sound, and even the after sales for matter, I'd say that I definitely recommend these. And coming to the price, how much do these cost? Well, at the time of recording this video, they have a maximum retail price of 12,999, which they definitely feel like, and they have a selling price of 7,499. But the folk at Earfun have been kind enough to provide a 25% discount code, which I'll leave right below the price over here. And after you punch it in, you should get it for about 5,624. So do I think this is value for money? Well, absolutely. I'd say it's a terrific little product. The overall build quality of it, I think, does sit in the price range of where its maximum retail price is marked at. Earfun has put these together terrifically well. The only thing I'd say that you will have to be particular about, and Earfun has not tried to hide this, they've in fact included that little leaflet. They recommend you wipe it down, the contact points, after you've exercised and so on, so that no sweat and grime gets stuck and causes an issue with the charging, and they're fairly open about it. So I'd say if you're willing to do that and look after your earphones, these should carry you for more than 18 months without a problem, as long as they're looked after. So yes, I would highly recommend these, and I'm really happy that I finally reviewed a set of Earfun earphones, because I've heard about these in my comment section from a lot of viewers for a long time, and Earfun has not disappointed on any front really. So I would recommend these, and I hope you found this video helpful and informative, and I hope I've helped you make some sort of purchase decision. If you would like to support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning into Paul's POV for some sound advice.